Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Merchants Agency Interviews. Today we've got a cool one for you. We've got Balint, who is going to share a lot about his story and his expertise in sales, kind of how his agency has evolved and some things that he learned along the way that hopefully you can use to improve your own agency. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Balint. Hey Balint, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me on. This is exciting.
Yeah, and just so the audience knows, Balint is doing something really cool that I think we all wish we could do, which is he's building his business while also traveling Europe with his family. What's that been like? Where are you now? How's it coming along?
It's been good. So I like our home office is in Hungary, just because I have dual citizenship, Hungarian and U.S. So I was like, oh, it would be a lot easier to get my wife's paperwork. So we live in Hungary, and then we just travel from here, right? And when we need to come back, we come here. So like last week we were in Slovakia and Vienna. We're going to next week. We're going to be going to Venice. And then we're going to the States. We're going to go visit the grandparents, right? They've been bugging us to bring our daughter home. So March 3rd for like 3 weeks we'll be in the States. And then we got 12 more countries to hit
Wow,
in Europe. And
that's
then, yeah, head back.
that's amazing. And when you hear that, that doesn't really sound like the lifestyle of someone who's like grinding and growing their agency and like really focus on world domination. But you're doing quite well for yourself. So like, what do you think is like the reason behind you going and like living and enjoying and playing hard with like the other side, which is work hard, grow your agency. How do you think you're able to do it?
Well, so, I mean, I basically, me and my wife sat down and we're like, well, let's stop growing the company, which makes the company grow. I don't know how that works out, but no, what ended up happening is I restarted because I had a fallen out with a business partner 2 years ago, and I restarted this one. It'll be 2 years in March, and it was my daughter was just born. She was like 6 months old, and I missed that next 6 months because I was growing the agency, right? Like completely missed it, but I grew it to 20K, and I was like, okay, well, it's time to go. What do we want to do? And do I take some time off and not worry about growing the company and gain that time that I lost back, or do we grow the company? So we both decided not to, which instantly we like 30K, like it was like shot right up to 30K, and I'm working like crazy. So for a while, I was able to work like 10 hours a week. I was doing 30K a month, 10 hours a week working, because you get at that point you start getting referrals. You start getting like I do reviews where I send out text messages, and then people reach out. They're like, I got this review from the guy that came and did my HVAC. I want this for my company, right? 'Cause I do this, and so you get a lot of that. And then coaching thing started taking off, and training and sales training and teaching people like I'm going to be doing for Merchant, and I'm back to working now. So I'm back to grinding a lot. The good thing is, like right now is 9:30 p.m. And for what is it, like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock? No,
It's
12.
like noon, yeah,
Yeah,
12.
noon, right. So I kind of start working now about 4 p.m. So I get all day with the family.
That's awesome.
A lot of it has been hurry up, get to another city, check it out, get to the hotel. You guys go to bed, I'll work, I'll sleep less. But yeah, that's kind of how it's been going. It's been really good. I mean,
Amazing.
amazing,
And
amazing, amazing.
And I think that like part of why you're doing well is because you're a very seasoned salesperson, and like most, I would say, of the difficulty of getting an agency off the ground or growing is really just mastering sales and like the human psychology behind sales and how to position products, and you do that very well. But I'm sure there was like a day where you weren't skilled. So like, what was it? What was like the first experience that you had with sales where like you had to like figure all that stuff out?
My first sales job was CutCo knives door to door, which is like probably the worst thing you can sell door to door. So, um, I didn't know anything. I knew when growing up, I knew I wanted to be a comedian, right? Because I was always able to like make jokes and talk and like have these conversations, and I don't know, I just thought that, and even my parents were like, "You're gonna be a comedian," and then So I have older kids too. So I have a 2.5 year old. I have older kids. At 18, my girlfriend got pregnant, and I was like, okay, well, college is off the table. Not that I was really planning on it anyway, but now what? The only thing I could think of is sales. So I jumped into sales, and oh man, I didn't know anything. I knew how to talk to people, and I would talk them out of the sale. That's literally all I would do. It was rough. But then I got on the phones 5 or 6 years after that. After that, I did door to door. I did cars. I sold dogs from Europe into the U.S. The websites when they first came out, so everything. But phones 15 years ago, and that was rough. Rough.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like nothing's gonna force you to be a better salesperson, like walking to someone's house with a bunch of knives. It's not a very forgiving environment. Well, that's very cool. And then what was your first, I guess, like touch with marketing agencies? Was it working for someone else first, or you were just like, you know what, I think I can do this, and you kicked it off?
Yeah, no. So, I was selling home services, like home services is in like phone, TV, internet. um, and to like over the phones. And like when you moved, your electric company would send like, oh, okay, we got to do the confirmation of your move and send you over to me. And I was selling that stuff, and I was their top sales guy. And so they reached out. As I had another company reach out and say, "Hey, we're doing this marketing agency. Have you heard about Yex?" And I was like, "No, I know nothing about marketing." Well, we heard you're really good on the phones. We want you to start selling that. So I went over there, figured out how to sell this product. Right? They're like, "Here's the product. We kind of have a guy that's selling it, but figure it out." So I figured out how to sell Yext. A year later, took over their sales floor, and then a year after that, I was like, "Wait a minute, why am I doing this for someone else?" Looking at the numbers, right? I'm like, man, I'm making, and this was 15 years ago, I'm making like 110 a year, but we're doing like 40 grand a week. So I'm like, that
Wow.
the math doesn't math. I literally said, let's start another company. Let's just do it. Let's just do the same thing, but do it for ourselves. And that one we started, I mean, the cell phone out of a bedroom with a rickety computer that I'd be like, hold on, technical difficulties. Like the computer barely worked. And that's how we started. And everything I've learned over the years, I just kind of implemented and called people, like literally just looked up phone numbers and called them and said, "Do you want marketing? Do you want marketing?" Over and over and over.
Yeah. I mean, that's very common, I think, too, what we hear a lot, which is that someone was working for someone else, realized that they're the rainmaker, and they're like, wait, what? Like they're making so much more, and like I have access to these things. Why don't I just start, selling for myself? And obviously it's a scary leap to make, but I like always advise people, and I had the same thing because I started my business as a side hustle, and as soon as it clicks, it clicks, but that like there's more opportunity cost staying where you are than like the actual risk of going out on your own, right? If you stay working for someone else, you're always, kind of stuck to a certain pay scale increase. And so like there's a lot of risk in that. I think that people don't really balance that risk as much as the risk of going out on their own.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the reason why not everyone is a business owner. I mean, it's not that's tough. I gave up 6 figures 10 years ago, right? So there's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm going to give up 6 figures, and I was at the time I was divorced. My kids are getting older. They had moved away, so I was like 6 figures, single, like party, let's go. To oh well, now I have no income. And I took my last dollar and bought this computer hoping it will work. So yeah, I think yeah, taking that jump is really hard for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, all right. So let's go back because I think your sales ability is very impressive. And like, was there a piece of advice that you were given somewhere along the way in all of those jobs that like something finally clicked for you, or was it kind of just like having the phone slam closed? I guess back then people were actually closed, like hanging a phone up on something. Uh, was it just a matter you were hung up on so many times that you eventually like, what was it?
Well, I still get hung up on. I don't use Zoom. So I still, to this day, 2026, use a cell phone. But I don't know. I can't pinpoint what it was. I think it was just I didn't like not being number one. And you know what? The one thing I didn't like to do was punch a clock because I didn't for a very long time. Car sales, you're not clocking in and out. CutCo knives, obviously. And then I got this job, and they're like, you have to be here at this time. I'm like, no, I'll just come when I want to come. And they're like, well, that doesn't work that way. And I was like, just wait. When you're the top sales guy, you do whatever you want. For me, it was just figuring out. I mean, it was how can I take their script? How can I, whatever they told me not to do, how do I walk that line to not break it? But obviously, if you don't want me to do it, it means that this is what's going to close the deals, right? And so it was just a lot of like trial and error, and trying, and then not being afraid to get hung up on. I mean, I honestly, to this day, I'm either getting a credit card from you or you're hanging up the phone. There is no, I'll talk to you later, or let's
There's
set
no
up.
civil goodbye.
There isn't. I mean,
So
and most of the time
sales
people don't want to hang up, so they buy from you.
so sales is very much a numbers game, and it seems like you play it that way, right? You're just going to pick up and keep ringing more and more people. For me, it's like soul crushing. Like the tone of someone's voice, like it just hurts me to my core. What would your advice be to me to get over that? So that you could power through a list of 100 phone numbers in a day and not just feel defeated.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so one, you're never going to see these people, right? So it doesn't matter what they think, what they're saying to you. I mean, and I've heard it all. Trust me, some really bad stuff, right? I mean, death threats, like crazy stuff. But I mean, honestly, you have to look at the future. So in like my school group, there's people that like put little notes about like, hey, I'm doing this for my future, or just power through because of, this. In your situation where you've got this great company, I was like, well, it's kind of hard because you've got a merchant that's doing really well. Like, you don't need to really get on the phones, but for somebody that does need to get on the phone, I mean, you just got to get through it. I mean, the worst thing that happens is somebody says something really mean to you, but then the next phone call, you're going to be jumping up and down because you just dropped a $500 a month deal that's going to stay with you for 5 years.
Right, yeah. But I do like knowing what it is that you're doing it for. Um, like even early days with merchant, I still have it today and I still maintain it. I have a bunch of postcards, or it's not postcards, post-its, each with its own unique goal, and I'll build out typically 3 in the future, and 1 or 2 of them I can hit within the next like 2 to 3 weeks, so that I have a short-term goal that I can feel good about, like taking a big green Sharpie and checking it off. And then I have another one that's probably going to take me a couple months to hit, just so that like I'm not getting stuck in the day-to-day of the business. I'm actually looking at and growing it. And like that, I mean, it's been 6 years and I still maintain that structure, because like knowing what you're working. Oh, and at the very top of it, there's like my end actual goal and what I'm doing this all for. But I think totally like having like in your mind why you're grinding, because it's not easy, right? Every day as a business owner is a different fire.
Yeah, it's anything but easy, and that's the thing, is like that's the one advice I can give anyone that like comes in for this stuff is don't come in looking for the easy way. You have so many people online. Oh, make 10K so easily. Yeah, make sure. Like I went from 20 to 30K. I'll tell you, it was easy. I found merchant. It was just like, bam, done. This is the easiest product I've ever sold. But that came with a lot of, being in the trenches, years of missing time with family, just working 20 hours a week, trying to figure out like what can I say to get this person to buy from me. And obviously now you can get help, and I didn't. I had no courses. I didn't know who Alex Hormozy was until like 6 months ago. I didn't know any of these people, right? I just literally was like, well, that didn't work, try this one. That didn't work, try this one.
Yeah.
You know, the note thing really does help, and it's really good to have it that way, where you're gonna have, like have a goal. Like, look, I'm just gonna close 1 deal this week. Hit that goal, because then you're gonna close 3. And don't stop. That's another big one that I see agencies do. They sell one and they go, how do I fulfill this? Do not stop calling. It's like anything else. Like you go into a car dealership and you see one sales guy sell, all of a sudden everyone else is making a sale, because it like radiates, right? And it's in your voice and they can hear it. You close a deal, forget fulfilling that. I mean, I closed 4 or 5 deals on merchant before I even signed up with you. I was like, cool, this is cool. I looked at the website, this is what it does, sold some deals, and I was like, oh crap, what do I do? I don't know how to fulfill this. I got 4 people I got to load because that momentum. So don't stop. That's a big one. Is just keep going, keep going, keep going. Worry about fulfilling it later. You've got whatever product you're selling. It doesn't matter. Somebody's out there to help you fulfill it.
That's so interesting, is like give yourself the opportunity to get on a heater, right? Like don't get like hot, get your sale, and then be like, okay, let's now like pivot over here and you know get off that. No, you're right, totally. Just ride off that energy. I love it. So a question that we get asked all the time, because there's a bunch of ways that you could sell, and let's just call it local marketing services, right? There's a lot of things that fall under local marketing, whether it's review management, um, it could be even website SEO or Google Business Profile optimization, whatever it might be. I think that a lot of people that are doing sales for agencies might struggle on the positioning of these products. So you get let's say a roofing contractor on the phone. What are you selling them on? Is it the deliverables? Is it the dream? Is it the outcomes you've gotten in the past? Like, what's the angle that you would suggest everyone kind of frames their conversations in?
So it depends on how the call goes, but usually, I mean, it's about selling what they need and want. They're going to want that dream. Everybody knows. So the products I sell are all basically, the reviews and ranking on Google, which everybody wants. Everybody wants to be number one. Everybody wants to rank. So, you do sell. Hey, this works. It's worked for other people. You need this, but I make it so, I ask a lot of questions in my pitches, which this is a huge problem, by the way. People just don't ask questions. So it's really hard because every pitch of mine is different based on their questions or based on their answers to my questions, right? And it always goes down a different map. But framework wise, I mean, it's simple. It's what's your pain? Which I'm going to tell you what your pain is. I don't care what you think it is. And what's the solution to the pain? My product. That's it. So a lot of sales is like, find the pain and push on it. Well, no, we're going to tell you what the pain is because the pain is my product. That's the thing. And you push that pain and they don't even know that. Look, I didn't even know that was a problem until you told me it's a problem. Right. So that's the biggest thing is find the problem that you can solve.
Okay. And I do find it interesting that once an agency is working with a business owner, anything that's in that like marketing realm, maybe even sometimes technology realm, business owners will go to the marketing person and be like, hey, can you help with this? And I think that's like maybe one of the reasons why it's also important to pick whatever the biggest problem is for them and focus on the solution rather than being like a jack of all trades, because the time will come for you to upsell them on your additional services because they're likely going to come to you as soon as they trust you. I think it's a big mistake that people kind of try going too wide too soon.
Yeah, that's another thing that I always recommend too is like if somebody calls you like okay they bought a website from you, right? You didn't sell them on anything, you sold them on a cheap $97 a month website, but they call you and they're like, I need help with my email or I need this or I need that. Take 5 minutes, answer the questions, because you know what ends up happening? You're upselling them. They're calling you going, now I need this. In fact, I have upsells that have happened because I had a client who did a very basic package and 2 years later they called me and they're like, hey, this company called me and said I need this. I'm like, oh, I do that too. Really? Well, they charged me $700. I'm like, oh, mine's only $600. You know what I'm saying? So, and you'd be surprised how often it happens, but you're completely right. They will call you for everything, right? All the time for things you don't even do. Like, hey, my laptop's not turning on. Well, plug it in. Just take
Yeah,
the 5 minutes.
and I think that's also one of the reasons why it helps to niche down is because like let's say you're only focusing on like dental clinics, you'll learn what those pain points are in the dental clinic world and like what the software providers are that you can white label in that, so that when a client does call you and say, hey, how do I do what, or can you help me with this, you've probably already played around with it. Whereas if you're trying to be like jack of all trades, you probably won't have a great answer for it. And it's also important not to like overextend yourself and talk about something you don't know about, because I've seen that backfire as well, where maybe they trust you a lot for local marketing, but then you try to sell them on a website and you don't know how to build websites or how to fulfill that at all, and give them a bad website. you've now lost kind of the trust that you built in your core area, and you might lose them as a client sooner because of that. So like it's definitely a bit of you want to be an expert or know how to give a good solution rather than just being like, yeah, I can help you with that, because you could always risk that relationship.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like for me, I have so much knowledge on this stuff because I was doing when I had the business partner, I was in charge of fulfillment, he was in charge of sales, and they did exactly that. They were like, "Yeah, we can do that, no problem." And hey, this guy needs this. I'm like, "What is that even?" Like, I knew zero about the internet other than Yext, right? Which is just citations for those that don't know. It's just literally it's like a $20 a month product that we were selling for like $2,500 setup fees. Uh, that's exactly what they did to me, and I'm the type of guy that I enjoy learning. I like learning, and I can pick up on these things, so it was fine for me. But yeah, that was I mean, we lost clients. They sign up and we would lose them. Now, granted, I learned all that stuff. Now it helps me now, but yeah, for sure. Like if you don't have a way, if you're not the type that's going to learn everything, definitely stick to what you know or what you want to learn and learn it, and then stay out of stay. Oh, maybe we can do that. You
Yeah.
know.
And I think one other thing that's worth maybe touching on is a common thing, and I'm guilty of this as well because just I was so not good at cold calling in the early days. Um, is that I think a lot of agency founders think, okay, let me hire an appointment setter who it'll be their job to go and make cold calls and set up meetings for me. But I can confidently tell you, with the hundreds of agencies that we work with, that doesn't work. Why do you think? Why do you think that just fails like almost 10 out of 10 times?
Well, okay, so a couple reasons. Um, most of the time, they're not looking to hire, somebody that's $30 an hour. They're looking for $5, $6, $7 an hour. So you kind of get what you pay for starters, right? And another big reason is if you have no rapport and two-part sales. So don't get me wrong, two-part sales is great. It works if you do it the right way. But like we did two-part sales, it was like 4 setters to 1 closer, right? But these were setters that are making $25, $30 an hour. So they're salesy, right? What ends up happening for most of these is you go, hey, you're a setter. Your job is to set me 20 appointments, right? Not quality appointments, not people that are going to show up, not any of that. So you get on the phone, you're like, do whatever you will say whatever you want to say or can say to get them to agree to an appointment. You just mark it on the calendar and you don't care. You walk away, right? You're getting paid. So quality, the fact that when in this business, you just have to be involved as an owner. Nobody's going to care about your agency as much as you, no matter what. Yeah, you can find some people that if you pay them well enough, they'll do a good job. But you can't go. You're going to be a setter and you've never been on the phones before. Like you got to hire somebody that has experience and you got to pay for it. No agency wants to pay for it. Like at the end of the day, that's really what it is.
I think you're right, and I'm very guilty of doom scrolling on Reddit, and I love seeing in like the different marketing related communities or subreddits, agency looking to hire 5 commission only sales reps. I'm like, I mean, sure, we all want commission only sales reps, but like, I don't know. Can you tear that apart? Why it's a terrible thing to look for, or why you think it's amazing? And maybe we disagree.
No, 100%. You know why it's terrible? Because all those people that are good at commission only sales reps own their own agencies.
Yeah, they took on the risk themselves.
Because
Yeah,
think about it. So the reason that people don't start companies is because they're backed by a W-2 income and that's safe and secure. When you're risking a commission only sales job, what's the difference?
yeah,
So anyone that's worth anything has their own agency, right? Like me, for example, I would do great at settings. Said, being a setter, oh, absolutely. But I have my own agency, so no one's going to be able to afford me, But
yeah.
100%. That's why anyone that's and of course you want to hire some of this commission so they strive hard. If you pay them hourly, they're not going to work as hard. But the whole that's the whole issue. You can't find, you're
Uh,
looking for a unicorn.
yeah, no, I think that's right. I see it very often where, merchant's not the cheapest. I've never gone out and said to myself, I want to be the cheapest provider. I want to be the best. And so I think that like some agency owners kind of think in terms of like only margin. And of course, it's a business, it's your livelihood. You need to think margin. But when you're trying to optimize for cost and not for outcome, you're going to fail, right? There's no way, there's a reason why it's very rare that you put like an accountant as the CEO of a business because like they look at it in terms of optimizing for costs and whereas the CEO's job, the owner, the founder, they should be the one thinking, how am I going to go 10x next year, right? And those two things just aren't typically compatible. And I think that it's probably just how do I get the cheapest possible salesperson instead of how do I get the best salesperson? Because I'm sure that your employers in the past, when you're adding 40,000 monthly recurring, I'm sure they had the option of hiring someone overseas and paying $4 an hour, but instead they were paying, maybe 10 of that for you, more than
They still
that,
didn't pay enough.
20.
I left, right?
And they wouldn't have had that 40,000 a month MRR added. It probably would have been, I don't know, 3,000 a month. So yeah, totally. I think you have to look at sales and marketing expenses as like you want the best. You don't just want the cheapest.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the other thing too is like I run so slim, like so slim on like costs and stuff. I have so when I started this, it was laptop, cell phone, no ads. Still to this day, I've never run ads. I use a cell phone. I don't have a dialer. People are like, "Can you record your calls?" I'm like, I'm holding my phone on speaker to the microphone, trying to get this call recorded so people can hear I pitch. I don't have any of that stuff. And everyone's like, they get into these agencies and they're like, okay, I need a dialer, I need a VA, I need this, I need that. I'm like, you need a cell phone. You need a cell
Yeah.
phone and computer and internet, and that's it. And honestly, you don't even really need a computer. You could do it off your cell phone, but I mean, it is going to be easier. But yeah, I don't. I still. I grew this with zero ads.
That's amazing.
Zero setters, zero anything. My VA came on a year ago, so grew it to a little over 20, and then she came on.
Yeah.
Like, you don't
And
need it.
and I almost feel like those other things that you mentioned are kind of like distractions to stop to get in the way between you doing and the thing that you need to do but really don't want to do, which is pick up the phone and make some cold calls. Like, oh, I need a VA or I need to pay for this software or whatever. It's kind of just giving you more things to like prepare before you just pick up the phone. And so often I'll get emails from newer agencies that are asking questions like, hey, who do you recommend that I use for, I don't know, integrating this tool with this tool and this tool so that when I start getting clients, it's all automated. I'm like, get the clients and then worry about the downstream effects. Because, like, in your current rate, you're probably going to burn out all of your energy before you just pick up the phone. And so much of being an agency today is sales, right? You can pretty much automate everything else that you're delivering. And so it really is sales, and everything that's not selling is a distraction.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it goes right back to what I was saying before. It's like just sell the product, get a, what however you do it. And I'm not saying that it's not easier to scale with ads or doing all those things. I'm just saying I did it. Everyone else can do it. And sure, if you get to 10, run ads or do what you're gonna do, but it's not needed. And like you're so focused on all this stuff that doesn't matter, right? When we did that call where you're like, let me show you proper onboarding. I mean, I had already onboarded like 12, 13 people, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know that I didn't know these buttons even existed at this point. But it doesn't matter. You get a product that provides value, that works. Forget about the rest. Just you'll figure it out, and then you'll
Yeah.
figure it out the way it's supposed to go, right? I can't tell you how many times I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and then when I finally sell a client, I'm like, well, none of this mattered, so I just wasted 3 hours of my life doing this email automation that doesn't matter, So
Yeah.
I've done it too. I don't like getting this 15 years on the phones, and I'm like cold calling. No, so it doesn't go away. It doesn't get any better.
So I think we're in agreement that cold calling is the best way to grow your agency. What do you think the worst way is that people often try doing?
Trying to find the easy route. Literally trying to find the easy route. Easy route is not going to give you any sort of, it's not going to give you anything that you can use to grow your agency, right? Because you're going to run it when you're having these conversations with people and cold calling and doing all that. It's going to teach you so much. The easy route doesn't teach you. There is no easy route, obviously, but that's the big failure. Is you spend money on, okay, I'm going to get my VA, I'm going to get my setter, I'm going to do everything, and then I'll sell a deal. Well, now you're out of money, right? You're burnt out. You're working tons of hours on stuff that doesn't matter. So, and you're looking for the easy route. That's it. There is no easy route. So
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest killer is, and unfortunately, you go to YouTube and you go easy way to make $10,000, and that's all you're gonna get is easy, easy. It's not easy.
Uh,
It's
uh,
not. It's not like hard, but it's a lot of work, right? You got to solve it. And you
mhm.
can't skip that step, right? I can't be like, look, count to 10 now. What's your ABCs to my 2-year-old? Like I gotta teach her I gotta teach her the ABCs for her to repeat them back to me. You're trying to skip all this. You're trying to skip elementary school, high school, and go straight to college. It
Mhm.
doesn't work.
I'm glad you brought up, 10 easy ways to make $10,000 because now I know what the YouTube title for this video should be.
Oh, you're
Yep,
gonna get a
yep.
lot of views. They might tune out after I'm like, it's not easy, but first 50% will be watched a lot.
So I mean we talked about a lot of great stuff. What's the worst part of your agency? What don't you like?
Honestly, that's tough. When I found high level, so when I was like pivoting from Yext to trying to figure out what, I did do a lot of like, ooh, shiny object thing. And so I have a few customers that are on custom CRMs and stuff like that, and that's rough. I don't enjoy it because it's really hard when I'm like, man, you're paying me the same amount that the guy that as merchant that I do nothing, and Justin just sends all the emails and does whatever Justin does. Like I don't know. And so that I think that's the worst part. But otherwise, my taxes because I'm doing that right now. Oh, terrible! Hire an accountant. Don't. Okay, so going back to that, hire an accountant before, not after. Don't do what I did. No, there's really nothing. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I love
I
it. I love it.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that because I there's like 10,000 businesses on our page platform now. And early on in the business, I would take any request that you gave me, right? Like, you want me to do something custom? Sure. Like, our monthly recurring was maybe like 250 bucks. Like, they were very important to me. Um, and so like those same clients are still with me today, 5+ years later. And whenever I get their emails, like there's part of me that still like wants to go that extra step, for them because I just really appreciate their loyalty. But there's definitely part of me that's like, I should really just let them know, hey, I'm not the best person for you anymore, or like, sorry, we can't do these custom whatever it was. But I think that's part of it. As annoying as it becomes later on to have like those custom projects that you put together to make any money, I feel like you probably should just to get some income coming in the door.
Yeah, definitely don't skip it out. Well, again, learning, right? All of this, you have to take all of this as learning. Everything you do every day, as long as you're doing the right things, is learning, right? Learning it in automations is not going to fill your bank account, so don't learn that. But yeah, it's a learning. I'll know I'll never do that again. I'll know I'll never sell CRM ever again, no matter what.
Mhm.
I don't. I mean, I guess they say never, but I don't care. I'll never, I'll never sell it, right? Ever. So
Okay, so productized offerings, keep it nice and simple. And then let's talk about pricing because you are selling productized services now where it's like these are your options. Do you say and these are your prices or do you publish your prices or you're gonna have that conversation on a one-to-one level?
1-to-1 level, it all depends on how much money you make.
So do you even lump it, say like, okay, roofers are gonna pay 800 and carpet cleaners. So it's based on the conversation, how good you're feeling on that call.
In fact, in my school community, they kind of laugh at my product list because I have like, I think it's 48 or 50 products of the same thing because they're different price points. I mean, like random numbers. How'd you come up with that? I don't know. Let's like figure this out. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember. I told him this number, and then I added the two, and it came to like 367.
Uh-huh.
Who does that, right? No, it's I don't. I don't know why I don't. I think it might be easier to just have set pricing. But here's the thing: I don't have a website that sells this stuff. I don't use my website at all. I've never had anyone ask me for the website. I've never had anyone ask for pricing. I base it off the calls, and in my framework, I'm asking you things like, how many employees do you have, right?
Yeah.
How many, so I'm asking these questions that are going to give me an idea of how much money you make. Because the worst thing for me, the worst thing that can happen is if I go, it's $500 a month, and you go, okay, then I know I left money on the table, right? At least let me talk to my wife. At least let me think about it. Give me something. But as soon as you go, okay, I know I sold it for too cheap.
Yeah.
So I hate that. And I hate that feeling.
Yeah.
That feeling is rough.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I forget what it was. I bought something recently and they accepted my price right away and I didn't like the item as much anymore. I like bought it, but I'm like, I overpaid for this thing. I'm so like I was so happy they agreed to my price, but yeah, I was like, shoot, I overpaid.
Yeah. So that, but yeah, no, 100%. It's all over the place. I basically have three different products, which is reviews, merchant, and website, and I try to bundle them all together because it makes it very sticky at that point. And then you have your bundle discount. But yeah, I mean, I'm anywhere from I've got $1,500 a month down to $400 a month for that package, and I even have like $97 just website clients.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome. And you brought up another good point while mentioning that, which is websites for agencies don't matter. So I would say 80% of our largest agency partners have either the worst website or I can't find their website online. So maybe they don't even have. It's hilarious because it's if you over engineer your website, you're probably using it as a crutch for actually picking up the phone and calling.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you're just going to send them to the website instead of closing the deal and getting the credit card.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Um, Man, really cool. Is there I want you to kind of share some information about your school community. So I know that you're helping other agencies now with improving their own sales. Do you want to kind of explain what's going on there?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I would year back when I started this and I got into some school groups, I would try different things on how to get leads other than like cold calling. And like, I'm the type of person that's like, I'll try something, I'll figure it out, and then I'm like, I'm done with it, right? Just go back to cold calling. And it wasn't working for anyone else. And I couldn't figure out why. And then all of a sudden, I had a conversation, it clicked. I don't use Zoom. Everybody nowadays uses Zoom. So I was like, well, there's a huge gap of agencies out there that are making 1, 2 grand a month, have a side job or have a job and this is their side job. They're signed up with affiliates, they're doing this, they're doing that, and they don't know how to sell, they don't know how to close. And so I started it just I got interviewed about traveling, which then took off. Then I got a bunch of people hit me up, say, can you help us? How are you doing this? What do you mean you don't use Zoom? That's like revolutionary. And I'm like, you guys realize that phones existed before Zoom, right? It's not. You guys changed the way it works. What you did is you gave everyone the opportunity to say, yeah, let's book the call. And that's a soft no, right? I don't have to tell you no. Because it's like I said, you hang up on me or you give me a credit card. It's hard to hang up on somebody, but it's easy to go, yeah, I'll show up tomorrow. And you feel
Yeah.
better. I started helping agency owners trying to get away from the Zoom, get those calls. If you can't close them, then you can always go back to your Zoom. But there's a huge need for it. There's just so many agencies that are stuck sub 5 grand and have been, and they want to do it and they're trying to do it, but then they're sitting in front of their computers waiting for a Zoom meeting, and it's rough. It's rough.
Yeah.
Like you said, when someone tells you no, you're like, oh man. Imagine getting 30 no's in a row because they don't show up. Well, they told you no 2 days ago. You're like hopeful that they show up. So yeah, going over and sales tactics. That's another big one that everyone can nowadays. You can chat GPT how to start an agency, right? You can get a hold of merchant and sign up, and merchant will take care of everything. You don't need to know anything, but you're not going to learn to sell. And so that's the other thing that I teach is that framework on how to sell. Like I said, questions. I listen to these calls and I'm like, where are your questions? Like, why would I ask questions? I'm like, well, how do you tell them at the end when they tell you no? How do you come back if you don't know the answers to this? You know, it's like 3 minutes of questions, like just bam, 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 question, 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 question. So yeah, it's the school group's just basically just how to grow your agency by selling and actually whatever. It doesn't matter your product. It doesn't matter how you're selling it, whether you're doing, SMS, cold calling, whatever ads. The framework for closing a deal and getting a credit card is exactly the same, and people just don't know it. So
Nice. Well, we'll put a link to your school community in the description for this video. I've been in it kind of like lurking for the last few weeks, and I'm just impressed that I'll see people share their success stories. I think there's just a very good, like positive, like vibe inside your school community, which I think is awesome because you're a solo founder, I'm a solo founder. I think vast majority of agencies are solo founders, and it's lonely. And to be able to celebrate your successes and feed off other people's successes, to your point earlier, car salesmen can do better when they see a different car salesman sell. I think there's a lot of value to that. So, and I'm not sure of anyone or many people that are doing that well. And so yeah, if you're an agency looking to improve your sales experience or just have more camaraderie with other hungry agency owners, then yeah, definitely check out Balint's school community. Before we hop off, is there anything else that you wanna share? Where can people find you besides school?
school, school. I mean, Facebook. But if I tell you what it is, you're gonna be like, how do I spell that? Because it's balling all the way on. Like, well, if we can drop it in the description. But yeah, school, Facebook, Instagram, school. Different communities throughout school. But yeah, that's gonna be the easiest. Is Facebook.
Good stuff. Well, hey, thanks so much for spending the last 40 or so minutes with us. Yeah, keep on doing it. We'll see you soon.
For sure. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.